With Ready or Not set to drop on console in a matter of hours, the streets of Los Suenos are about to get messy. If you're new to the game or just want to hit the streets ASAP, this guide will walk you through the essential basics so you're not going in blind. Whether you're breaching doors, rescuing hostages, or just locking away the scum and villainy, this will get you operational in no time. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. So you're all set to purchase Ready or Not, and maybe you've stumbled across this video while eagerly waiting for that download to kick in. Well, while you wait, let's go over some of the basics to get you on the streets of Los Suenos sooner rather than later. Ready or Not, as I'm sure you've heard, is a tactical first-person shooter that leans heavily on teamwork and smart planning. You can choose to run it solo with a squad of AI, or squad up with up to 4 mates for the full experience. But before we get into missions, gadgets and gear, it's important to understand what your role is. This isn't your typical run and gun shooter. You're not Rambo, you're a tactical operator. And more importantly, a law enforcement professional. That means slow, methodical movement, clear communication, and making the right decisions under pressure. Use cover, and most importantly, don't just shoot the first thing that moves. As someone who served in the police in a previous career, trust me when I say they're big on rules. And while Ready or Not obviously gives you more room to act than in the real world, it will punish you for going in guns blazing. Now of course, if you want to go rogue and turn everything and everyone into Swiss cheese, there's nothing stopping you doing that. But if you want to play properly, the way the game's meant to be played, you'll need to make executive decisions like what gear you take, what tactics you use, who to prioritise, and what threats to neutralise. So with that said, let's start right at the very beginning. When you load Ready or Not, you'll be brought to the main menu. Here you'll have a list of options to choose from. Firstly, on single player mode, you have 3 main game modes. Commander mode, where you manage AI officers, and what makes this mode stand out is that your team's deaths are persistent, meaning if you lose an officer, it's permanent. You'll also need to manage things like their stress levels between missions so they don't retire. I highly recommend this mode if you're flying solo. It adds a layer of realism and extra pressure, and this is the mode that my most recent videos have been based on. There's also casual mode, a much more relaxed experience for those just looking to jump into missions without too much planning. And of course, training mode, a very short tutorial that will walk you through the very basics of weapon handling. If you're more into the multiplayer side of things, there's also a few options for you here as well, such as hosting a game privately or publicly, or joining public lobbies with other players. Squadding up with friends is where this game really shines, so if you've got a crew, make sure you bring them along. You'll also have a few other options such as your game settings and mods as well. I'm not sure if mod support will be available on console straight away. I personally haven't delved too much into the modded side of things, but I have seen some really cool videos on some amazing mods that make the experience even better, so hopefully you can check this out on console as well. Once you've decided on your game mode, you'll load in to the Los Suenos police station, which acts as your central hub throughout the game. Take your time to walk around here and familiarise yourself with the station. You'll find a bunch of small details scattered around, most of which are just cosmetic. But there are 3 key rooms that you'll want to know about. The shooting range, which is pretty straightforward, where you can test your weapons, practice your aim and get a feel for the recoil patterns. The locker room, where you can customise your loadout as well as your AI squads. And the briefing room, where you can choose and select your missions. Let's take a look at the briefing room and how to select a mission. If you walk up to the table in the centre of the room, you'll be able to select a mission. Once you've chosen one, you can open up your tactical device for a more detailed overview. Here you'll get a full mission briefing, including your main objectives, any known suspects or civilian presence, plus some missions include photos, audio recordings, or other bits of intel to help you prepare. Just note that some missions do have hidden objectives, which won't show on the main objectives list. If you find these in-game, you'll earn more points and score higher. This could be something as simple as locating a laptop with incriminating evidence. You'll also have access to your tactical map, where you can mark entry points, paths, and key rooms. If you're the kind of player that likes to plan every move, then this feature is gold. Personally, I don't use it very much, but it's there if you want to go into full tactical planning mode. Now that you've got a solid understanding of your mission, it's time to head back to the locker room and choose a loadout that fits the op. Every mission is going to be different. Tight interiors and close quarter situations, you might want to roll with an SMG and light armour for faster movement and control. However, if you're taking on a high risk raid with multiple armed suspects, That's when things like your assault rifles, breaching charges, and heavier armor come into play. Now, remember, your primary goal isn't to go and kill everything in sight. You're there to make arrests, secure evidence, and protect civilians. That said, not every suspect is going to play nice. Some might surrender when they're ordered, others will start punching holes in you the second they see your flashlight. So you've got to be prepared for both outcomes. That means making sure your squad has the right balance of non-lethal options like beanbag shotguns, tasers and pepper spray, and enough lethal firepower to handle things when it all goes tits up. Because, trust me, you don't want to walk into a meth house with your whole team armed with beanbags, only to find suspects rocking full auto rifles. That's not a fair fight, and it's going to go bad really quickly. So build your team smart, prep for the unexpected, and always have a backup plan. Now, there's a whole bunch of options you can choose from here, and I'm not going to spoil the fun of exploring them for yourself. But if you do want me to break down some of the loadouts I like to use, drop a comment below and I might be able to do a follow-up video with my go-to gear setups. Here's a quick overview of what you'll be working with. Primary weapons, you've got a mix of assault rifles, SMGs and shotguns, plus a couple of non-lethal options if you want to go for the less lethal route. You've also got the option to carry a sidearm, and choose whichever one suits your style. In terms of armor and coverage, you can decide how heavily you want to protect yourself. More armor means better protection, but it will slow you down in turn. Depending on your armor setup, you'll also have various munition slots. These include breaching tools like C2 charges, tactical gear like the mirror gun, which I highly recommend taking with you, and a range of throwables like flashbangs, gas, stingers, and so on. Lastly, you have head protection, which can protect you from things such as flashbangs, gas, and small firearms. Again, it's a balance between mobility and survivability here. One of the great features is that you can save multiple loadout presets, so you don't have to play dress up before every mission. Also, if you are playing solo and with AI teammates, you can also customize their loadouts here to make sure your squad is properly kitted out. Before you deploy it, be sure to hit up the firing range to test your gear, make sure it feels right, and get a sense of how it all handles. Once you're happy with the setup, it's time to ready up and head into your first mission. From here on out, it's really up to you to find a playstyle that works for you and your squad. Experiment, adapt, and refine your tactics over time. And just remember, this isn't your typical run and gun shooter, so use cover, move carefully, and communicate clearly. Always try to get your suspects to comply first, and lethal force should be your last resort if you're chasing that high score, or just trying to do things by the book. Before I leave you in the world of Ready or Not, here are a few bonus tips to get you started. Be sure to drop chem lights in rooms that you've cleared. This will help prevent you from getting lost and help you to stay efficient while moving through buildings. Ensure somebody in the squad is always carrying a tactical mirror. This will help you spot booby traps that enemies sometimes leave in entry points, or find out what's on the other side of the door before going in blind. When commanding AI squads, red controls Alpha Team, blue controls Bravo Team, and gold gives orders to the entire squad. And finally, if playing with a bunch of mates, be sure to use clear comms when clearing rooms. Friendly fire is a thing in this game, and it will certainly affect your team's score at the very end if you walk into a stray bullet. At the end of each mission, you'll receive a score based on several things: evidence collected, so make sure you bag and tag every weapon, suspects arrested, civilians rescued, objectives completed, and whether you and your officers made it out unharmed. So don't rush, play smart, play tactically, and you'll start seeing better results with every op. Well, I hope this video has been helpful. If you found it useful, please give a like and a comment, and consider subscribing to the channel for more content. But until then, I'll see you next time, take care, and keep it crispy.